Hey, welcome to Postpartum Reframed, your guide to biblical joy. On this podcast, I'll discuss about the who, what, why, and hows of cultivating and practicing biblical joy in the first year postpartum. I'm your host, Kendall. I'm a wife and mama to 4 amazing children who you may hear in the background sometimes of this podcast. By the grace of God, I have overcome postpartum depression, rage, and anxiety by daily leaning into the strength that comes purely from His joy. Now I'm passionate about helping other moms do the same so that even in the hard moments of postpartum, it can still be seen as a joy-filled experience. This podcast is available on YouTube as well as various podcast players. You can find the full show notes in the description of anywhere that you are listening, and if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Now let's dive into today's episode. Today I'm talking about postpartum planning and 3 simple steps you can take so you can have daily peace and biblical joy. Maybe you're thinking something like this. I feel like I'm just barely keeping my head above water. Is it actually possible to experience biblical joy when I'm running on 0 sleep and the house is falling apart? Or is that just a nice idea for people who have more help than I do? And the brief answer to this is absolutely. It is possible to still experience biblical joy without support, sleep, or a house that's put together. And this is why. Biblical joy switches our mindset from looking at our circumstances to looking at Christ. It doesn't mean that it's easy by any means, but it does mean that it's possible because you're no longer leaning on your own strength and allowing your feelings, emotionally or physically, to dictate your words or actions. So now let's get into the 3 steps. Number 1, make God your top priority. Set a time that is realistic for you to get into His Word and spend in His presence every single day. Don't skip it or push it off. Treat it like it's the most important meeting of your life and it absolutely cannot be missed. And to clarify, I am not saying to get into a workspace mindset when if you don't make time or something comes up that God is going to be angry with you. He still loves you unconditionally. But if you're not in His Word and in His presence, then you're not living a Holy Spirit-led life and your mind won't be able to be transformed. Number 2, be realistic. Think about your current season, if your children sleep well, if you have any support, etc. For example, if you're in the newborn season when you're feeding the baby at least every 2 hours around the clock, on top of taking care of any older children, this is not going to be the time to plan an hour-long quiet time with the Lord with all of the pens and highlighters, or plan to declutter your entire house in a week, especially if you don't have support. So be realistic about what your current season looks like and shift your daily priorities based on that. To get you started on ideas, I'm going to list some examples that have personally helped me. The first is listening to the Bible instead of sitting and reading it. Let the kids color or do a special activity while you do your time with God. Limit the amount of clothes for each person to decrease the amount of laundry that needs to be done, including my children in everything I do. Laundry, dishes, vacuuming. It doesn't matter what it is. I always preface the transition with, hey, do your last thing. In 5 minutes, we're going to do this task as a family. And I know that I have their help, which brings me so much more peace than all of it falling on me. And it also allows us to build more connection and bonds as a family unit. Next is using the same dishes throughout the day or utilizing paper plates and plastic utensils as needed. Some days it's none, and some days it's for all 3 meals. And one last example is keeping meals as simple as possible. If that looks like eating the same meals every day for a bit, do it and just change up which seasonings you use to keep it from getting boring. If it looks like focusing on a protein, fat, and carb at each meal, do that. Figure out what realistically works best for you in your current season and go with it, even if it's not the traditional way of doing things. Being realistic about your capacity while prioritizing time with God is the foundation of the peace we've been talking about. But I know that putting those steps into daily practice can feel overwhelming when you're in the thick of it. Maybe you know all of this in your heart, but logically you feel like there's a disconnect between your spiritual life and your daily reality. And you feel like you could really use direct encouragement and wisdom to bridge that gap. That is exactly why I've officially opened enrollment for my 4-week Postpartum Reframed mentorship. This is a private, high-proximity intensive held in a small Voxer community. To make sure I can personally walk alongside you, I only take 2 mamas per month, and our very first mentorship month kicks off on April 1st. Inside this space, you can submit your specific questions or prayer requests at any time via voice or text message. I personally will respond every day, coaching you on how to move from just hearing these biblical truths to actually living them out with joy. You get the one-on-one coaching depth, but with the beauty of a small community where we can all grow together. And as part of launching the service, I have a special gift for the first 6 mamas who join. You will receive a 50% discount on the mentorship using code LAUNCH at checkout. If you are ready to move from planning to doing, enrollment is open now. I'll leave the link in the show notes so you can grab one of those first 6 spots. Now the last step is to use a planner of some sort. I personally use Google Calendar on my phone for appointments and reminders, and as of this year, I've started bullet journaling. Bullet journaling is where you simply use a notebook in order to keep track of all the things. For this, there is a manual work, such as writing the days and dates, but it's extremely easy to use, be consistent with, and it only costs $1. However, if having a beautiful, well put together planner is what you need, then absolutely find one that suits your needs. Now, to go along with having a planner and being realistic, do not schedule more in a day than what is realistically possible. Here's how I personally do that. I evaluate my current season and needs of my marriage or children. Next, I write down my running to-do list that I always add to as things come up. Now, having a running to-do list used to actually make me stressed out a lot because it felt like a to-do list that if I didn't do everything in 1 week, then I'd feel like a failure. Well, 4 children later, and I've quite honestly had to get over that and now find that it actually gives me more peace because I'm decreasing the mental load and not forgetting things constantly. After I do this, I try to plan 1 month ahead where I write down all of the tasks that need to get done that month and number each task by week 1, 2, 3, or 4. This allows me to prioritize and spread out everything so that there's margin and I'm not constantly wondering when it's going to get done. Then lastly, I plan for the week ahead. This is where I write down appointments or events and my top 3 or less preferences for that day, which for me usually includes whatever area of the house needs more of a deep clean or pick up that day. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Postpartum Reframed podcast today. If this helped, encouraged you, or you have a question, please take a few moments to comment, leave a review, or share it with another mama who could benefit from this type of content. Let's create a world where women can have a joy-filled postpartum together. And if you're ready to move from survival mode to biblical joy today, click the link in the show notes to grab my free 3-day mini reset, Reframing Postpartum. It's designed to help you shift your perspective and find peace in just 3 days. You'll also join our email community for weekly encouragement every Tuesday. I'll see you next Friday.